Alright, and welcome to Unit 7, All Types of Solving Review. So in number 1 it says solve for the value of z that satisfies the equation below. And we're given 16 equals 3 parentheses z minus 4 cubed minus 8. Now notice this 3 right here is telling us that this is a cubic equation, and we'll have to deal with that in a second, but remember, we always want to isolate the quantity that is being cubed. So the first thing we have to get rid of is either the 3 or the negative 8. So which one do you think we would get rid of first? And we'll always get rid of our addition or subtraction first. So we can add 8 to both sides, we can add 8 to both sides, and from here 16 plus 8 is 24. Okay, so we now have 24 is equal to 3 parentheses z minus 4 cubed. Now at this point, how do we get rid of our multiplication? Well, the opposite of multiplication is, of course, division. We'll divide both sides by 3. Now from here we can say 24 divided by 3 is actually 8. And rewriting the rest of this, we have 8, those cancel, parentheses z minus 4 cubed. Now from here, this is the big question. How in the world do I get rid of a cube? What is the opposite of a cube? And the opposite of a cube is in fact what we call a cube root. All you do is add on the word root. Here we draw the square root symbol, but it's no longer a square root. We put the 3 to indicate it's a cube root, and I can do the same there, the cube root of 8. And whenever I write the cube root of 8, notice I want to split it up into 3 numbers that are the same if possible. So 8 splits up into 2 and 4, and 4 splits up into 2 and 2. And since we're looking for a group of 3 numbers that are the exact same, I have 3 2's, they're the exact same. The cube root of 8 is simply 2. No plus or minus required. Now from here, this allows me to write 2 equals our original function, z minus 4, because the cube root and the cube have canceled. And from here, all we have to do is add 4 to both sides, add 4. We can say 6 is equal to z. Pause the video, finish taking notes. Let's move on to our second example. Okay, in example 2, we want to solve the equation below for this single variable. So we have 1/3 cubic roots of y plus 7 plus 2 equals 14. Notice that this equation here, we begin with a cubic root, and we're going to have to get that, we're going to have to get rid of that or do the opposite of that at some point. But first, just like in our previous one, we first have to get rid of our addition or subtraction. The opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. What I do to the left, I'll do to the right. When that zeroes out, I'm now left with 1/3 cubic roots of y plus 7 equal, and back to the screen, 14 minus 2 is 12. Now from here, how in the world do you get rid of this 1/3? How do you get rid of this multiplication? Remember, if we don't have a whole number, we do not want to divide. If we have a fraction, if we're multiplying by a fraction, the easier way to get rid of that is to multiply by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/3 would be 3/1. What I do to the left, I'll do to the right, and that cancels. Now notice 3/1 is really just the same as saying 3. So I can say 12 times 3 is 36, and from here I can write the remainder of this as the cubic root of y plus 7 is equal to 36. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to get rid of my cubic root. So the question becomes, what is the opposite of a cubic root? And the answer is you simply take off the root. So to get rid of a cube root, we are going to cube both sides. Now my cubic root and my cube cancel, and I'm going to have y plus 7 is equal to a very, very large number, because 36 cubed is really like saying 36 times 36 times 36. It's there 3 times. So if you have a yellow calculator, you can just type in 36 to the 3rd power, or you might have to do 36 times 36 times 36. In this case, it is 46,656. And to finish this problem off, I will simply subtract both sides by 7, and it appears that my final answer will be 46,649. crazy number, and that's okay. Pause the video, finish taking notes. Let's move on to our third example. Okay, in example 3, we want to solve for p for the equation 600 equals 5 times 5 to the power of p minus 25. Now in this case, notice that our p, our variable, is in the exponent, which makes this an exponential equation. Now, once again, we're going to have to get this quantity of 5 to the p power by itself. So what's our first really easy step? Do we get rid of our multiplication or rid of our subtraction? And of course, we get rid of our subtraction first by adding 25 to both sides. Now from here, 600 plus 25 is in fact 625, which will equal 5 parentheses 5 to the power of p. Now, in order to get rid of our multiplication, since we're back to having a whole number, we can simply divide both sides by 5, and 625 divided by 5 is 125, is equal to 5 to the power of p. Now from here, this is a very important question. How in the world do I get a variable out of the exponent? Well, I know that the opposite of an exponent, the inverse function, is that of a logarithm. So here, we'll take the log of both sides, and when we do this, this p comes down in front. Okay, so what's this look like? It now looks like log of 125 is equal to p log of 5. And from here, I can simply divide both sides by the log of 5, and I can employ my change of base to rewrite this as p is equal to a log base 5 of 125. Remember, if you just go Google a logarithm calculator, you can find these online. They will allow you to put in the 5 and the 125, and you'll see that your answer should be 3. Okay? Now let's move on to our fourth and final example. Okay, for example 4, we're now given a logarithmic equation. Let's go ahead and write that out. We're given a logarithmic equation. Now, in order to do this, much like everything else, we have to get this logarithmic quantity by itself first, and we'll of course do this by beginning with getting rid of our subtraction. So let's add 13 to both sides. We know 2 plus 13 is in fact 15. We'll say 15 is equal to 3 log base 2 of w minus 12. And from here, we know that we can simply get rid of our multiplication by dividing, since it's a whole number. And 15 divided by 3 would be 5 is equal to the log base 2 of w minus 12. Now here's the part where a lot of students really struggle. How in the world do I get rid of a log base 2? Remember that a log base 2, a logarithmic function, is the opposite of an exponent. So we can actually take this log base 2 and put it into the exponent of a specific number. And we get that specific number from the base. If this is log base 2, we put everything into the exponent of 2. And what I do to the right, I now do to the left. Now you might have to use a calculator to do this, or you could just do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and it turns out that 2 to the 5th power, you'll see this really frequently, is just 32. And our 2 to the power of log base 2 this cancel, and we're left over with w minus 12. At this point, we can add 12 to both sides, and we get our final answer of w is equal to 44. Pause the video, finish taking notes, and I'll see you in our next video.